So I think it is time, and I think we might as well begin when we are committed to start and end on time. Each year, I participate as a member, as a a presenter to this beautiful forum that has been created for us by the Canadian International School. And this year's theme was particularly very, very engaging for me when we've been in the indoors for literally 24 months. And I don't know how your school has functioned or your setup has functioned. We've had snippets of our hybrid school functioning. We did go back and for 3 months, and we did get the good, happy space there. However, what we realized that this phrase, resilience in learning, was something that was much needed in this difficult time, in this complete paradigm shift that we've had to make, and that has been imposed upon us in so many different ways. So looking at that, thank you for CIS, to CIS for providing us all this platform where all of us can be together and build our own resilience, look at our own well-being and understand how we learn best and how we teach best, so that we can take our students to those very important, informative, reflective practices to get their performance best. So I am at Metacognition, and I am going to be talking about the whole practice of metacognition and how we function best, what functions best for me as a teacher and as a learner both, because I don both the hats as a teacher always. So who am I? I am Aprajita Rally, and I am at Pathway School, Noida. I've been there for the past 11 years teaching the IB curriculum. I am also the middle school coordinator here. And as a teacher, I've been teaching for the past 27 years. And one of the things that I really love to do is to be on Twitter. Follow me if you are continuing to see this page. Please let me know. If you're not, then also I'm on LinkedIn, and I'm also on the Facebook, because I believe that I'm learning continuously as I go along, and my PLN teaches me a whole lot of things along the process, along the journey that I embark myself upon. So 27 years of teaching, mind-boggling, absolutely, and a lot of learning, a lot of teaching while I've taught, as I said earlier, 11 years in Pathway School, Noida. I've also been teaching in the Indian curriculum for about 17 years before that. One thing that I did understand through this complete process is that till I'm a learner, I do not teach. Until I know what I am teaching and what I am learning, I do not function best. And for me to bring out that potential of myself as an educator, as a coordinator, as a leader, and also for a large chunk of my classes, because whatever I picked up, I've always learned to apply the same in my forums, in my webinars, in my sessions that I take with teachers where I'm coaching and educating or enabling children. I believe that, this metacognitive skill has always seen me through, which is what I'm here to share with all of you today. So I do a lot of, as I said, training, but I also look at the community service and inculcating the, technology into teaching learning processes and the SDGs into the teaching learning processes. Now, to understand that, it has always been a challenge to bring everybody on board. So to enable people, it was always important for me to have them understand what works best for them. And that is where the whole idea of metacognition came to stay with me, when I thought, what is it that I can bring to the table for people? It is to empower them. It is to bring about their own agency. While we are talking of learner agency, I also, as I said, believe in the fact that I must know what works best for me. How do I function best? So together, we are here on a reflective journey, all of us in this room. We are going to be exploring certain strategies that you also already use. You may not sort of consciously using them, but you are already using them. You're developing those strengths as learners and as teachers. We will together understand what is metacognition. We will understand what is metacognitive teaching, and we will understand the process as we are following it in our different scenarios, in our different classroom teaching practices. Therefore, together, providing each other with strategies that will help students become independent learners, given the scenario, that is something that we really, really need to do. We need for our students to be absolutely enlightened and also aware of where they are and who they are. Before I move on, let me just check if I've shared my screen in the sense of the sound, because I normally forget to do that. I'm growing old also. So please watch this video with an intent of being a student and a teacher at the same time. So student, while you are teaching how to teach and teaching how to learn and learning how to teach. So it's the two things that you will also adopt here. Please watch this as in taking notes, keeping in mind what will be relevant. It's a little lengthy video, but we are not
grow up and be
the complete length of it at one time. I'll be breaking it up. Could someone please confirm if they can hear the audio? Yes, we can. All right, thank you so much.
I've always wondered why they're called worksheets. That's just terrible branding. I mean, if people want kids to get excited about learning, why not call them Happy Fun Time Sheets?
I'll bring it up at the next faculty meeting.
You seem quite pleased, Miss Reyes.
I am. I may be wrong, but it does appear as though they kind of understand the material.
That depends how you define understand. That's the last time I take a nap on a number 2 pencil.
Perhaps I'm a bit old school, Gummerson, but identifying the phases of the moon from just a picture looks like understanding to me.
Well, that's one kind of understanding for sure. Knowing definitions, concepts, or say what the name of a moon phase is called is declarative knowledge. Meanwhile, knowing how to do something like operate a car or perform a task is considered procedural knowledge. Pardon me. And understanding the interrelationships between definitions, concepts, and facts is conceptual knowledge. That's the level where students are able to be creative about this new knowledge, think about it in new ways, and apply it to new situations.
That last one, that's why I teach. I'm not trying to create the ultimate Jeopardy contestant, spewing trivia answers like some robot. I want them to grow up and be independent thinkers. Call me an idealist, but I envision each of my students becoming capable thinkers and creative problem solvers who will flourish in any career or path that they pursue. I'm just not sure how to get there.
When the path seems uncertain, do what the pros do. Head to the internet.
Thank you for stopping by TeachConX, the one place on the internet where you can be guaranteed to learn about learning. Introducing our hosts, Ms. King, our brilliant resident science teacher, and Stickleton, our very knowledgeable and dapper stick of chewing gum. Today's topic is getting meta.
Getting meta is all about getting metacognitive. That means employing metacognitive strategies that can help students acquire, retain, and transfer new content.
That's easy to say, but getting meta is tricky business. It takes time, effort, practice, and an awareness of the need.
I'm glad you brought up awareness. I used to be one of those teachers that didn't really think about the need to get meta. My lessons were packed with a range of activities, and I gave tons of feedback on all types of assessments. Problem was, most of my students really struggled with applying the learned material to new circumstances or hanging on to it for extended periods of time. They seemed to be getting it, but they really weren't. I have an eerie feeling like someone's been spying on my classroom.
So, how can you get there? Well, that brings us to our title, Getting Meta. You see, studies have shown that giving students practice with metacognitive strategies can improve how well they transfer knowledge to new contexts and how long it sticks around in their noggins.
Metacognition is a path to understanding. I thought metacognition was merely thinking about your thinking. Pure navel-gazing,
Poppycock. That way of thinking is antiquated.
says the guy who just exclaimed poppycock.
You're on mute, Aprajita.
I just needed to pause the video. So that much is sort of probably cemented our understanding of what we already know about metacognition. As teachers, we do know metacognition very well. But I'm going to put you in a spot and I'm going to tell you, give me just one word of what you think is metacognition. And this is where you will put it down for me. I'll just share the screen so that you can probably, if you're on your phone, you could, again, that's the code. Go to menti.com and that's the code. And you can put down just one word. Or if it takes another word, 2 words, if it does, for your phrase to get complete, please put that down. So what is it that you understand by metacognition? You can use your prior knowledge. You can also use what you've heard in the video so far. Is anyone acting on it? What you will see is, let me just show you what goes for you.
Unable to type on it.
You're not able to type. No, I'll just tell you where to type. Just a minute, and that is. Okay, anyway, then let's just put it up in the chat. While it shouldn't have happened, but it does happen.
Actually, you shouldn't click on the link. Go to menti.com and it'll open
and
the...
put the code in.
Then it's kind of working.
Yeah, all right.
Can you share the code, please?
It's here, 39723615. Has anyone been able to punch in the word? Otherwise, let's not waste time. We'll just put it down in the chat. Okay, tool to understand. So I guess only one person has been able to log in. Self-awareness. All right, that's good. I like that a lot. I'm hoping to build up a word cloud here so that we have a collective understanding of where we are going from our understanding to my understanding to our understanding. If you all are finding it difficult to log in, please feel free to put it in the chat so that we can just sort of move on forward also. Okay, thinking about thinking. Yeah, absolutely. transfer of knowledge. Okay. Planning, well, a lot of planning and reflecting is needed to be metacognitive. I would 100% agree with that. Understanding one's thought. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that, Archana. So if we are good to go, the understanding of empowerment. All right. So how am I getting empowered with my teaching and learning? How am I transferring the knowledge that I have acquired? And does that apply? And just think about it. Does that apply only to students or also to me as a teacher? If you are a yes, click on your camera and show me your faces. If you're a no, keep the camera off. All right. We have reflecting coming time and time again. Yeah, that's good. Thank you. Yeah, that means you're in agreement with me. Yes, it's a teacher's world also. We are also continuing to learn time and time again. We have to keep evolving. Thank you so much for that. Having established that much, please tell me if you can see my screen again already. Yeah, this is where you were at. Putting yourself to thoughts. This is how you have thought and put your ideas out for me, which is great. Thank you so much. Ouch. Why am I seeing those words dance around? Okay, here we go. Yeah. So we've understood what is, and we've come to a combined agreement on what is metacognition. Just give yourself some time and look at this image. While we are teachers, we do look at the slide in clarity. We are teachers. We do come across this several times over when we are probably trying to differentiate. We are trying to look at multi-levels. We are trying to see how our students learn. What is the best way that I can sort of, set aside some work for a particular child? How can I scaffold that work for the child? What can I do to make every child matter? These are things that we already know. We do it already. But today we are going to look at it in terms of building the skill for ourselves also. So how are we going to do that? This is the schema. So you will fix up strategies to do that. When you're fixing up strategies, you ask your question, does it make sense to fix up this strategy? If you're already doing that, kudos, you're in that very small 10% of the people who already do that reflecting back and forth time and time again. Are you making connections with the child's learning and where he is? Are you visualizing where you're taking your class through? Are you asking the right kind of question? Are you inferring from the child's performance where the child is moving? Are you determining the importance of the child's learning in the child's mind? Are you able to process that for him and her? Keeping in mind that the ladder that we just went through, or the learning style that we just understood, that a left brain or a right brain, am I synthesizing all of that information? Is my child therefore able to understand what he or she is reading? Is that making sense to them? And what don't they understand? And what do they make of it when they don't understand? As a teacher, as somebody had put down in the Menti, we need to be heavily planned for this. We need to be heavily reflective. Now, my next question to you, and I'll again put it down in the Menti, is, or we can just skip the Menti, should my students know about this, about the schema, or about how a brain functions, or, wherever am I at? Should my student know this? It's a yes or a no, or can be, or maybe, or you're not sure. If you want to go on to the Menti, again, the same thing, go menti.com, and the code is right here. If you want to put that down in the chat, we are good with that also. Should the student know about the metacognitive skill or the process of his journey, or how my brain is, I'm a left brain or I'm a right brain, or I do need scaffolding and I can do without it. It's up to you as a teacher. There is nobody telling you what is right and wrong here, but we would get into a little bit of a discussion a little later if I can have everybody's inputs. Okay, this is very interesting. Absolutely three different ideas coming up. This is 6. Okay, now we have 6 people. 67% of the people claim that children should be aware of everything that is related to their learning and understanding, including the brain mapping. 17% say no, and 17% say can be. So there is nobody maybe, and there is nobody who's not really sure of what. So can be, I'm assuming, is maybe given different occasions, different chances, different types of learning happening, then a student must know. If anybody who has looked at the can be can just give us the answer to that.
Yes, that was me who said can be.
Okay.
It really depends on the situation. It depends on the student.
Yeah. All right.
How much I would want to, explain to that student about the process. So
absolutely. Okay, I get it. Somebody who said no, can you please explain why you have taken that stand of a student must not know at all?
Yeah, I said no.
Yeah.
I said no because what I thought is that it is very much detailed, like how a teacher's brain function and all about those information could be information overload for the students. So I feel like if they know themselves just how they learn the best, I think that would have been enough. So
okay, all right, yeah, that makes sense. So we do not overload the children, and we believe so. People who are saying yes, can they counter Aditi's no argument, please? Thank you, Aditi. Thank you for that. People who said no, yeah. Anybody who said yes, can this justify their stand, please?
Yes.
Thank you, Tejas.
I said yes because countering Miss Aditi's as well, it doesn't have to be explained in a complicated manner, but I still feel even she was saying they need to understand how they learn best. And I feel by them understanding how they learn is through metacognition. So in a simplified way at their age level appropriately, we still can explain it to them.
Okay. Studies show, anyone else wants to say anything before I move on? Thank you for your sharing. Studies show that I'm back on the slide. If you can see my slide, please, because this to and fro always sort of you miss out something. Studies show that student should know. And of course, you're right, Aditi, in that, and Tejasvi, I agree with you. And also the can be group, I agree with all of them, but we need to have them understand how my mind works, what is my learning style, what I do best. What is it that, if I continue to do, I will perform my utmost best? And what is it that I drop out, which will not affect my performance in the positive? So I should leave that behind. So research and scientific study has proven that when the students use metacognition, you can change their mindset from a fixed to a growth mindset. There is a lot of improvement in their performance and potential to perform. Each student must understand my potential to perform. I'll give you a scenario. Tell me if this is right or wrong. A teacher, a student in the MYP, year 5, that is grade 10, in history, teaches the child, and the child keeps giving answers and continuously is very proper with his submissions, timely, everything, but doesn't ever cross the level 5. The parent is very frustrated and beyond themselves. Their child is spending a lot of time on the subject, yet does not get beyond a 5. And this is at year 5, which is grade 10, which means the subject has been read by the student for 2 years now, 1.5 years now. So the teacher asks in a PTM the child, telling, what is your preference? Do you see yourself, do you want to work for a 7? Or do you think that you're comfortable with a 5 in this subject? And in spite of all that effort that you're putting in, you are still at a 5. You know, what is it that goes on in your mind? And at that time, the child says that, no, ma'am, I want to get a 7 and this, that. And the teacher asks the child to step out and has a conversation with the parent and says, yes, I think the child does want it, but doesn't have the potential to. And the parent is slightly offended at that stage, like, you know, how are you talking about on his behalf in this fashion? Now the teacher is in a fix that she believes, like you all did, that the child should know their potential and then perform. Whereas the parent is seeing from their perspective that the child is putting in effort and that angst that not getting the 7, and therefore has driven the student to think that the 7 has to be got. That is meeting at crossroads. What would your stance be in a situation like this? Anyone who would want to volunteer? Anybody? You can even type if you so desire. What would your stand? What would the direction that you would take with this particular student? The student, the teacher knows that the student cannot get more than 5, at best pushing up to 6, 7. The potential is not there because there is no inclination towards the subject. And it is very clear because the teacher has been with the child for the past 1.5 years. And the parent sees that the 7 should be achieved by the child. The child also is saying a 7, but the teacher knows it's not happening. What should be the teacher's approach? What would you do if you were the teacher? Anyone? I'm sorry, this is an interactive session. We would need inputs. If you could please just type out also that let it be, or put in extra effort, or have a conversation. Any of those options can be applied. But I would like to know, because this was a real situation, and I'll tell you how that turned out then. What would you do if you were in a space like this?
Hi, this is Shefali. I think it's a fairly delicate situation because you are looking at the words and phrasing that you use, which will have an impact on the child, but also will have an impact on the parent as well. If we're looking to showcase anything or share anything with the student and with the parents, we have to go back to evidence. Evidence indicating what are the requirements to get that particular score, evidence indicating where the student is at the moment, and depending on how much time there is between where the student is at present and where the student and the foreseeable time duration left to get that particular grade, if there is a time frame within which the student is able to make adjustments and changes, then I would say that's what we focus on. But if there isn't that time frame, then we have to lean very heavily on evidence and say, here's what I have.
Yeah. So in this scenario, thank you so much, Shefali, for that. In this scenario, the teacher went back to the data, drew out report cards and all the summatives and formatives and class interactions and everything, made the child and the parent go through all of that, and then gave a reflective sheet, very specific questions there onto what the child really wanted to do and how he was studying through for this subject. As it turned out, the child had said a 7 because of the parental pressure. And it took, of course, 2-3 meetings for the teacher to bring it down to the child and to the parent that they need to understand how the whole process works for the child himself. And of course, the child did get a 6. This was last year. The child did get a 6. And so it was a win-win situation at the end of it. But at that point in time, it was quite tricky for a teacher to, had she did not had the, better sense, as Shivali also pointed out, to go back to the data and statistics and bring it forth and sort of talk the parent through and tell the child, this is where you belong, this is where you are, this is how you should operate to get what you are, and so on and so forth. So in that fashion and in this kind of a thing, we do believe that metacognition in this manner will help. So this is just one of the examples which sometimes very basic, but we do understand that reflection must be in different ways workable. And all stakeholders need to be developing the skill to be able to understand where we are going and how we are going to be operating best. Moving on, this is the focus that one needs to bring on. And what the child wants to see may not be the swanky car, but maybe just the small car. And maybe the parent is on a different vision, the teacher is on a different vision. So to understand, for the child also to understand, where am I going? What is my focus? Where do I need to actually reach is very, very important and integral. Put yourselves as in the mind of the student now, and take a minute to think what works well for any particular student. Put yourself there and just say how this strategy that you use in a class, how did that help you to do better? Again, going back to the mentee, I'll just tell you, here you are. Okay, this is what it is. This is where you need to put down. Think as a student and answer the question, what works well and best for me to be able to do well in a certain subject? So you all can speak from your subject areas. What works well for me? And this again is the code. If you do not want to put it here, as I said earlier, we can put it in the chat also. It's just one would need to know where everybody is coming from so that one learns from each other. I don't see, okay, there is a message in the chat. Practice is something that will help improve reading, visual displays, practical application. Time is something I'm not clear. Is it time management? I would think so. Time management would be one of the things that skills that we would need for the student to do well. Or which time is he working at? As in, is it a summative or a formative, or is it which time of the year that I'm not too busy and I'm, with a light load or something? Reflecting on the task. Okay. Very interestingly, when we asked this of our students, what works best for you? I took this with 84 students. Not a single student came up with reflecting on the task. They hate reflection so much. Really, they do. So yeah, but this is something very, very important and integral to their MYP journey especially. However, this is something that they really, really don't like. Another thing that they do not like, while we keep pushing them to it, setting up their own success criteria. And they are doing that in all the portfolio subjects. They're doing that in their personal projects. They're doing that in their DT. However, that's something that is a struggle that's going on. And I think those two are very elementary to establish the metacognitive skills of children. visual display, connecting to concepts done in the past, chunking the lesson, fantastic. Reflecting and planning. I completed all my assignments before the deadline, right? I participated in class and I also complete all the extra questions given by the teacher. Okay, as a person or student who is writing all this or who's working on these strategies, if you could just tell me, does it bring out clearly what I need to do better? Okay, let's see. Setting up my own goal. Okay, great. And what are the opportunities that the school might give me to look at all of this, to establish my goals? If everybody's done, can we move back to the presentation if people have stopped writing, or is there someone else who's still giving their input? Okay, I think it is over then. Going back to the presentation, just keep in mind the skills that you have said that you would like to develop, or you have already and they've helped you do well. I'm just taking you through another scenario. Metacognitive skills can also help kids manage their feeling and boost self-esteem. So the idea of wherein we said that how much they should know, and we decide what to tell them, what to take them through, what process to take them through. So the bad feelings kids have when they feel frustrated easily can turn into negative self-talk. If I fail the test, that means I'm not smart. And a student who has developed his metacognitive skill or thinking will look at it. They will not beat themselves up to it. They'll say, I failed the test because I wasn't ready. How can I be prepared, more prepared next time? What is it that I need to do to ace this test? And I think this is where we need to have our children reach. I'll take you through another thing, again, a question that often is asked. What is the difference between metacognition, deep thinking, and higher order thinking? This is something that you all can either open out your cameras and speak out to me, or you can put it in the chat or whatever. But this was supposed to be an interactive workshop, so I will insist on people talking. So you can put that in the chat, please, if you want to. What is the difference between metacognition and deep thinking and higher order thinking? Typing would take a little time, so I'm okay if you want to sort of answer that out. Okay, we have an answer. Thank you so much for that, Prerna. Oh, okay. All right. Okay, so no, I cannot enable the chat. Pawan, the chat is not open to everybody. Is there a possibility of opening it out?
No, I have made it to everybody. I have changed it.
Thank you so much. Prerna, could you try now?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. See, the idea of a workshop like this is to, help us think what works best in my classes, plus learn from others and their classroom practices, because there is so much that one can take from a cohort like this. Okay, let me see if we have any. Deep thinking would be, yeah, all right. Metacognition, deep thinking would be, all right. Okay. We'll be connecting schemas, all right. And you think that higher order thinking is one of the schema, or is something that encompasses?
I would say that metacognition would be an umbrella, and high order thinking would be also just a part of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with you. So deep thinking and higher order thinking, where we are giving students the opportunity to think beyond let's say, their level also, or up to their maximum potential, is something which is part of the metacognitive skills that we are developing with our students. Higher order thinking and deep thinking will get enabled if a student is metacognitively awakened and aware. So the awareness bit will drive the best performance, which will be, of course, a student becoming self-driven, student who will think beyond, and student who will be not only performatively beyond, but also thinking deep about the world that they live in, sort of talk about global issues, think about how to connect their, understanding or the knowledge that they've gained from the class to apply it to the real world, to come up with, to develop their critical thinking, basically. So it's not just a higher order answer, but also an application in real life. If the metacognitive skills are developed, this is what we can hope to achieve from our students. Okay, so what is metacognition? And we've come to one little phase of the workshop where we pause a little. We've done so far all of this, which is I'm thinking, I'm feeling, I'm seeing, I'm wondering, I'm noticing, and I'm learning how to learn. At this stage, I will take you back to that interesting video that I really, really liked, and we will see the next part of it. Just give me a second before I can take you to it. All right, here it goes. Okay, this is the rest of the video that we will see.
Continual monitoring of one's progress by identifying what you know and working on what you don't know, and then adapting is necessary, all of which are part of metacognition. The benefits of metacognition come from using strategies like self-questioning, annotated drawings, concept mapping, checklists, and reciprocal teaching, to name a few.
Thanks for stopping by. And remember, if you aren't sure your students understand something, just ask them.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
That was informative. But my head is swimming with all these strategies, and what exactly were they again? Checklists? Annotations?
Well, look at you. You've already gotten started. You thought about what you know and what you don't know, and you thought about what others know. That's why you asked me. All you need now are the strategies.
Perhaps we could walk through a few when the students are back from recess?
That's one humdinger of an idea.
Maybe we should jump ahead in time or something.
Let's do that.
You think?
Today, I want to see if you all truly understand what's happening during the different moon phases by having you model it yourselves. We'll be using this styrofoam ball on a stick to represent the moon, this light bulb for the sun, and your head will be the earth.
Oh.
You will move the moon around your head and be able to observe the changing phases of the moon from your earth.
And by earth, you mean our head, right, Ms. Reyes?
You got it. You have everything you need to show us how you think your bodies need to be positioned to produce each different phase of the moon. Here you go. One for you. I'm coming. Here you go. There's yours. Okay. Now, who can show me where the Earth and Moon are when we see, or rather don't see, the new moon? And remember, people, the moon's orbit is slightly tilted, so unless we're talking about a lunar eclipse, your moon shouldn't be on the same plane as your Earth. In other words, your head should not be casting a shadow.
Well, wait. Okay, go. Ouch. Bumped into me. Stop. You are.
Houston, we have a problem.
Problem schmoblem. This situation is a perfect segue for teaching students about using metacognitive strategies to develop new conceptual understandings.
Do you need some help, Shauna?
This is just strange. Like, you're asking us to solve this weird problem in this weird way. We're supposed to think the light bulb is a sun and the styrofoam ball is the moon. It's kind of making my earth hurt.
I couldn't agree with you more. Let's think about what you already know about this. Could you tell me which side of the moon is illuminated for a first quarter moon?
If I remember it right, it's the right half of the moon.
Using the light bulb and the styrofoam ball, show me where you would be standing for the right half of the moon to be lit up.
It looks like the right half of the moon is illuminated. Here! Okay, I'm starting to get how this model works.
Looky what you just did there. As a teacher, you know how to ask the right questions to help students organize their thinking. This is a perfect opportunity to try one of those metacognitive strategies. See if you can help Shauna learn to ask herself guiding questions.
Let's stop and think for a minute. I asked you to think about what you already know. That's something you can do yourself the next time you get stuck. It's one type of metacognition.
Wow! Can you give me another one?
I sure can. What position do you have to be in for the moon to be both completely illuminated and visible for someone on Earth?
Okay, over here. I think I got it.
Wunderbar! Okay, so now I'd like you all to think about where the moon and Earth would be during a lunar eclipse. And if you get stuck, try out that strategy I just showed you.
What does moon look like during a lunar eclipse? Where would the Earth need to be to cast a shadow on the moon?
A wonderful thing happens when you begin to truly understand something. You can transfer what you've learned to amazing new situations. Wow, you really rocked their world today.
More like rock their moon. Hey, isn't the moon a rock? I should have said really moon their world.
Okay, so very subtly did bring in the idea of metacognition to the kids, told them what metacognition is, told them that you can own your learning, give them that advanced, very critical questions, let them look for their own answers and reach their own conclusions. Most of us probably are already doing that, but we do not know that we are doing that, and nor do our students understand the process of this learning and teaching. So the ideal way is to take the children through. I'll just read what certain people have put down in the chat. Metacognition, deep thinking would, okay, metacognition, thinking about the thinking process, deep thinking, thinking beyond what we already know, and higher order thinking, something beyond memorizing. Okay, great. Thank you so much for that, Nitya. So my understanding of the research that I've done in this, and I've read up and understood how to take my children through, is this, that certainly we need to let the children know what are the technicalities of it, so that they begin to understand and they're with you on the same page. Secondly, how many of you agree with writing on the board out there in the open, the lesson objective when you walk into a class? There have been several debates around this, wherein teachers believe that, students don't need to know. It is for my planning and my learning, my teaching process. Students don't need to know where they are going. Anybody with a different thought or anybody with a thought on this, I'd love to hear that, please. Pranay, what do you believe, that students should not know?
They should know.
Okay, they should know. And why would you believe that?
So they are, actually they can, so it's like we are taking them, we are involving them in the whole process, and then they explore something with us and they finally come to an understanding or somewhere where they can evaluate themselves how much they've understood. So we can in the end talk about the learning outcomes, or whatever they were able to achieve. There can be a discussion about it.
Do you do that often as a practice?
Yes, we do, and we do every with the beginning of every
Did I lose her? Anyone else would like to complete? Do you do that, or you do not agree with what Prerna just said?
I agree with what Prerna said, because even I put my learning objective at the beginning of the class. So as a class, we together know that what exactly are we going to achieve, or what is our purpose of this entire lesson.
Yeah.
So I believe that like students, when they know that this is the learning objective, they are more focused on that particular thing, and they know that this is how I'm reaching, or whether I've reached or I have not reached.
Exactly. So again, a very, very subtle metacognitive skill, but we are not letting the children know that they know. We need to let the children know that they know. So the skill gets more honed into them. And as Nitya is also pointing out what Archana just said, that they should know, because if the objective is clear, they feel motivated to reach the goal. I will now share what I do in my classes and what has worked well for me. And of course, we all know that we don't have to teach the children what to think, but how to think. And I love this meme. I share it always. If thinking of thinking is metacognition, then what is thinking of metacognition called? So very, very interesting there. I'm sure, given the way people are working these days and thinking of thinking, they will come up with what is thinking of metacognition called. So we are in that meta space already. Okay, this is what I'm going to share and read on, summarize, ask questions, make connections. And if you can continue to see the Padlet, please tell me yes.
Yes, you can.
Yes, all right, yes. Thank you so much. Okay, so this is my grade 10. I integrated humanities class, and I take integrated humanities and I take history. And the syllabus is vast, and there is no telling which case study to pick up, what to do, how to go about it, what global context will come till 10th. They do not know that. So there's like a whole gamut of things that they are up to and about. And the book also, if you tell them to go buy the book, there is so much, it's vast. So to bring them on to structure and to own their learning, by the end of the first term of and the beginning of second term in grade 10, where I've had them for a year and a half, this is the activity that I do almost every year with them. What do I remember from the previous term? What worked well with me? What do I have to focus on? And please tell me if you can continue to see this chart, because this is my absolute favorite and a super hit with all kids every year. If you can see this, this is what we are doing currently now. This is the overview of all units together for the year 2022. And so I put them in chapters, unit, global context, obviously being the same for all units, looking at the case studies that they will take up, looking at the SDG goal, which was match up to the case study that they're talking about, any kind of specific facts and data that you would need, any chapters that they would need to club, especially in integrated humanities and history, they can club chapters and establish those linkages. And this has to be done by the end of January by each one of them, so that we start with our one lesson of revision. I have them for 3 lessons, 2 lessons I teach, and 1 lesson we start with the revision, wherein we are looking at the grade 9 work also. I'll just show you a completed version of this, of a history student who's done this. Please tell me if you can continue to look at the Google Doc. This is a completed version. And this is, again, this is a history student who's done this. So if you see case studies, they will put down, everything goes down here. Everything for the complete syllabus. By the end of Jan, it is all done. Now, this child has understood where am I facing a challenge. She told me that, ma'am, I do not know how to establish the linkages, and I would like to start from unit 1. So what we did for Varsha was a mastery grid. I call it the mastery grid, wherein she's a high achiever. So wherein she understood what was her basic challenge. She hated to write long essays. This is how she has worked on. And the continuous feedback has been given on the Google Doc. And this is only criteria A she is working on. So likewise, like this, she has 4 different sheets wherein whatever, it is 3 also, some children have 3 sheets, some children have 2 sheets, whichever criteria they think that they are challenged with. And this is a process which is not just about, understanding this doesn't work well for me, but to understand if it has not worked well, how do I improve? How do I own my learning? And this is not a mandate. So the third lesson that I have with the students, when I said that it's a revision lesson, they sort of set out, okay, ma'am, today's lesson, this is what we want to focus on. It could be 1 student, 2 students, 3 students, and the tasks are set out for them accordingly, knowing whether OPVL is a challenge for them or, the knowledge and understanding or investigation is a challenge. Whatever specific is the challenge, they write it down for me extensively. Till they cross one level, they do not go to the next level. And that is what the mastery grid is about. Let me see. Okay, yeah. Prerna, the mastery grid is about levels of the student work. So if at a criteria A, the recall questions, and then this I aligned with their command terms. So if you are, and every subject has command terms in the MYP. So the kind of questions that you will get for every level. If you want to be at a level 5, these are the kind of questions that you should answer. You've answered at least 10 of these, then you notch up your to the next mastery grid. So it is a huge task for me, but the students work on their own. They make those tables for me. They put down their own names, and they take themselves through that. Today I was at this level, tomorrow I want to be at that level. There are certain children who will set themselves up at the mastery grade level 5. 5 is the highest, which is taking them to 6, 7 level of the MYP. There are certain who are comfortable with being at level 3 of the mastery grade, which is level 5 of the MYP. There are certain who just feel that, ma'am, we just need the basic content just to pass. And so this is how you will take us through. I have marked Friday challenges for that. I'll just take you through that in just a bit so that we are all on the same page then.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
I'm sorry. I just want to ask, is it the mastery grid would be different for children who are in the primary, or is there something else for them then?
I'm sure it is something that I design for myself as a teacher and as a student. They set up their success criteria with me. And I have very, very specific rubrics defined. I will happily share my grid with you, the one that I've created for my students. If you could just email me on my email ID, which I will leave here. And you could probably tweak it to your requirement. It will be different for every level, I'm sure. And at a primary level, at the PYP level, or at a early years, however you want to design it, the contribution of the students might be different. In my case, my students, and this is a grade 9 and 10 work, they do own their learning, and I've taken them through the process since grade 8 onwards. So they are clear on the mastery grade by the time they come to grade 9. I'll just take you through the process of how we go about in grade 6, 7, and 8, and that should put a little perspective, a clearer perspective. So when we are going through these processes, it's also about teacher training, and teachers are brought onto the same page. And so we share our templates, the coordinators share with the teachers. I mean, I'm sure this happens throughout all PD sessions. but we are very focused on the templates that we want to give out to the students. So, for example, you just asked me, will this apply for PYP? So we look at the specific criteria that we are going to look at. We look at the specific areas of concern that the students might have. We look at age-specific, steps that we want to take as a teacher. And it's not mandated across for everybody. This is teacher-specific. This is what I feel I do best with my kids, and it has worked with me for the past 5 years. I share that as my best practice year after year in my school. And there are people who have taken it on, and there are people who have benefited. There are children who have taken it on independent of even the teacher, because they feel that, we like to work, and they'll keep turning in their work to the teacher. Teacher is obviously going to mark and give back. So it's, it should become a culture of the school, which of course we are far from it right now, but the attempt is there. And so we focus on the ATL skill to develop this, success criteria, or to develop the Friday challenges. I'll just take you through that in just a bit. So the focus, when we are looking at students fixing goals, we are looking at academic goals, and we are looking at non-academic goals, wherein the student themselves will provide their own evidence of their learning, and they will self-assess themselves. We are allotting a different time period to the students, in the sense that in a lesson, the calendar, we have goal setting periods given to them. In a timetable also, this is calendared and timetabled, wherein we feel that, okay, this month we can give 3 lessons to goal setting. So it's as specific as that then. And if you see, this is an example of how the students went on setting their goals after having learned what their challenges were. It's not just a random goal setting that, the SMART we've set and that's about it. But it's after they have understood what their challenges were. And then, so I am looking at communication skill. I am looking at this indicator. So the student is aware of the whole process that they are supposed to go through. Now, this is something which was debatable when we were discussing it also, strategy to improve the skill. We thought that this teacher should feel that, what is the opportunity that I am providing to this student to develop this skill, instead of the student themselves filling it. So there was a little discussion around this, which we haven't really resolved yet. It's still in the discussion phases, but evolution and dynamism does help always. This is something that has sort of been designed by the teacher. I'll just give you 30 seconds to just absorb it all in. And I'm sure this is something that the ATL mapping that we all do at our different levels. And once that has happened, then again, this is something which is not uncommon to many IB schools. This is the student-led conference wherein all stakeholders come together and fix their, certain targets that we are going to meet. And these are often held twice a year. One which is held in the physical space like this, in better times, of course. And otherwise, the other one, we do have a telephonic conversation where the teacher will call up the parent, and PTMs are also obviously there, and things get addressed. We are not leaving the goal setting ever. We take them along with us, and the documents are passed on from one year to the other, so that the teacher and the student both are aware of where we were. So large amount of focus on developing this metacognitive skill here. This is just what I spoke about, the document. From this document, I'll take you to how this worked. The mastery rate I've already spoken of. Just let me see where this takes us. Yeah, this is the overview tasks also we've done. I'll just take you to, then the student tells me, ma'am, after the, if I can just take you to the Padlet for a minute here. Can you see the Padlet, please? Here, if you see, the student says that I want to work on my OPVL skills, or I want to look at my analysis or develop a research question further. The teacher is asking, how can the teacher be of help? Okay, and if there isn't any student who has asked this, but I have a study group which is on WhatsApp. Some of these groups are with the parents, some of these groups are just with the teachers, with the students themselves. So there also, if you see, there is a choice given. According to me, study groups are very effective because students learn course material in a deeper, more concrete way. And this is because when in groups, we tend to have very healthy discussions. This is one child's opinion. And there is this another child who says, I have not participated in study group, so I don't know what they're about. And this child was not forced to participate in the study group because she owns their learning. They know that this is what I want to do. And I cannot afford to spend so much more time with this certain subject because there is so much at stake for me already. And I'm okay where I am. So I do not know what the study group is about. While it's suited to the other student to be in as a part of the study group. Moving on, this is something that, as I told you, the Friday challenge, where I put down the question and I'll email the questions to the student. And this is how I put it up in the open forum, the classroom thing, wherein the student knows that it is open for all. The other students believe, and I've seen this work, that, oh, only these two children are working, even I want to work. So they quickly get on board and they start answering the questions. I give them very specific time, that 10 minutes you will start and you will end. And they do that because they are timing themselves. I don't have to get on with them after that. I have seen students tell me, Miss, finish the work, please check and give back. I have to be on top of my game for that. So I have to know what works well for me as a teacher, wherein I know that, okay, I cannot give the evening time so much, or probably the school hours is what works best for me, or a weekend is what I can give to my board classes. So on and so forth. I also focus on what works well for me, and the children do likewise. I've read just recently, and I said that, as I said earlier, that I need to keep upskilling myself. This is a beautiful read that we all can go ahead with. And she's talking about learning and the metacognition and motivation classroom. So this has really helped me, look at my teaching and learning style, looking at how I can contribute to a student life much better. So again, this is something that I would urge people to engage with their self-learning process. It's hugely beneficial. Okay, so that is how it works for me. I am going to put down, just a minute, this Jamboard, wherein you can put down your strategies, and this is it, so that everybody can get a share of what works well. This is where you need to be. Draw, I'm sure we all know this thing, but if you don't, just click on the sticky note here, write your answer, and it'll be visible here. You can go on to the second slide also, or the third slide also, wherever you want to park your comments. This is the last thing that we are doing today, and then we draw to a close. So if you could just put down all of this, I'll have all these strategies shared with you all so that we all can be benefiting from each other. This works very well for me. Sharing my ideas and having others share their ideas with me. I learn a lot better when I am in collaboration with others. Click on this and it'll be here, and you just type anything and save. That's how it goes. Goal setting is something that has worked well. Good to hear that. So if you have set the goals, after that, I hope they are part and parcel of your teaching learning process. It's not just the goal being set and that's about it. We would need to engage that with our planning when we are. So learning objective is equal to learning outcome, as somebody had mentioned earlier. That is the Guru mantra. Learning objective is equal to learning outcome. Then you know that you have been, you have benefited the students largely. Keeping a learning journal, yeah, that's great, fantastic. I like that a lot, and a very good tool to do that, because we are in the online space. I don't know if you all have started joining your schools. Seesaw is a very good tool to use that. It's excellent for portfolios and also journals. Absolutely, couldn't agree more. Setting up specific and achievable goals work. As I said, again, we need to go back to them as a part to autonomy now. And I'm excited. Oh, wow, this is so lovely. Practices to my own class. This is really nice. We need to put down all our practices together. Whatever you're trying, please do share with us so that we all benefit from the collective learning processes. Learning objectives. Okay. I have just 1 more minute to go, and what I'm going to do is I am sharing the slide here, slide deck. If you all want to use it ever, it's yours for the using. If anything is required out of there, more than happy to help. Thank you so much, Archana. It's been a pleasure just being with you all. Okay. Oh, this is so sweet. All right. Okay. I would still, urge us to put down what has worked well for me so that that strategy can be shared with everyone. But the links are with you. The slides are with you, however you want to use them. If you want to share more information, we are all happy to learn. We all progress as a collective team. So thank you all so much for being part of this session today with me. I've really enjoyed myself a lot. Thank you.